Just letting you hear the birds this morning. It's clear, it's a little bit dark. It's gonna be hard to find orangey in the thicket in the woods at this point. But it's a beautiful morning here in Columbus, Ohio. Thanks for joining my channel, where I get up around sunrise and I talk about a passage from the Bible, because I believe mental health is spiritual health. Actually, I think it all is. Physical, mental, and spiritual health are very important to our overall well-being. And I'm not a pastor, a preacher, or a doctor, or a therapist, but I do believe that based on lived experience. And today, Annie and I, let's find Annie. You know my dog, Annie? Where's my dog, Annie? Annie, where are you? There she is. She's laying down. That's bad. There she is. See how dark it is? If you guys find orangey in the thicket or the woods, you got to let me know. But today, we're going to talk about not irrelevant in God's eyes. We're going to be in the first book of Samuel, chapter 16, verses 1 through 13. Okay? And we're going to key on verse 7. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Now, I got a great example of this in real life. There was a quarterback at a relatively, smaller Division I football school here in the U.S., Iowa State University. They're not in the Big Ten, they're in one of the smaller conferences. And they had a pretty good quarterback. And in the 2022 NFL draft, he was actually the last player selected in the NFL draft. His name was Brock Purdy. You probably, if you're at all a football fan, you know who he is now. Well, the last person picked in the draft, in the NFL draft, is called Mr. Irrelevant, because they're basically chosen last and nothing is expected of them in the NFL. At least, for sure, in the first year, if not the first full years, or their entire career. They may get cut and not even play. Well, Brock Purdy not only got a chance to play because he was a third-string quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers in 2022, but he got to play in 10 games. He won 10 games in a row, including a couple playoff games. Almost got him to the Super Bowl. So Mr. Irrelevant was very relevant. And that's kind of how God sees us and judges people. And this passage that we're looking at, hey, Fax Prods. Yeah, I love the 49ers too. I like Brock Purdy. Do you see orangey? See, there's an orangey on the tree. Hey, Noctis the cat. Good morning. Good morning. So, in this passage, first book of Samuel, chapter 16, the first 13 verses, is where we first hear about David. So Samuel, the prophet, was told by God to go to Jerusalem to offer a sacrifice and invite a family, Jesse's family, I think from Bethlehem. They're the cows, to sacrifice with him, and someone from his family, someone from Jesse's family, was going to be chosen by God to be the next king. Well, when Jesse brought his oldest son, Eliab, out, Eliab looked really big and strong, and Samuel thought, well, for sure, this is the one. But God said to him, do not consider his appearance or his height. And that's verse 7. Instead, God led him not to choose the oldest and tallest, but the youngest. In fact, David wasn't even there. He went through all 7 sons, and all 7 of them, God told Samuel, no, nope, 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 nope. To the point where Samuel had asked Jesse, do you have any other sons? And Jesse's like, yeah, he's the youngest one, he's tending the sheep. So he said, call him, because we're not going to start eating until all your sons are here. So that's when Jesse came, and he was ruddy with beautiful eyes, according to the Bible. And that's the one that God said to Samuel that he was going to be the next king and to anoint him. So even though he was like Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, he wasn't even there. He wasn't even invited to the sacrifice with Jesse's family. He became the one that God chose, the smallest and least likely to be the next king of Israel. So the question is, just like Brock Purdy, he was Mr. Irrelevant, yet he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Why do we do such a bad job evaluating people? You know, I don't know if we have inherent bias. It's just like, the NFL, they have all these scouts and professionals evaluating all kind of film and interviews and speed and strength and all that kind of stuff. But they can't seem to, pick the best quarterback. The best quarterback doesn't always go number one, just like Tom Brady or Brock Purdy, right? Why do we do this? And it just this passage is reminding us not to judge people by their outward appearance, but try to be more like God and look at the heart, right? So here are the questions. First question, this is maybe personal for you. Hey, Vicky, what's going on? Good morning. Forgotten channel, thanks. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I talk about passage from the Bible in the morning with my dog out here. We got woods and a creek on one side. We've got farmland with beef cows on the other and a sunrise. It's beautiful. So the questions today from this passage, the first book of Samuel, chapter 16, the first question goes directly to you. When have you felt irrelevant? When have you felt irrelevant? And the second question is, how might you see people from God's perspective? How might you see people from God's perspective? Well, my first thing is, how do I feel irrelevant? Well, I'm going to go back to a time when I was in 8th grade and I was playing basketball. And I was kind of tall, but I wasn't the tallest. I was 5 inches shorter than the tallest guy on the team. I was only 5'10", and I was so skinny you could see all my bones, including all my ribs. And I was picked near the end. I was at the bottom of the depth chart on the basketball team. I was on the 3rd string, so I was never going to see the court. I was never going to play. And it took me about half the season, like not just preseason, but half the season, to just start becoming more confident in myself and being more aggressive. But I'll tell you, up to that point, I felt very irrelevant. I wasn't helping the team at all. I barely made the team. So I know what it's like to feel irrelevant. I felt way too short, way too skinny. So I know what it feels like to feel irrelevant, and I felt very irrelevant on that basketball team. Now the next question is, how might you see people from God's perspective? So that's a tough one. I'm even thinking about Frank reading this book called Blink. We tend to judge people immediately, right? We look at them and we make initial judgments immediately. And we've got to come over those judgments or those inherent biases that we have, to try to judge people not just from their outward appearance. And that's difficult, right? That's difficult. So the only way to do that is to actually talk to that person, I believe. But I don't know how to overcome that initial judgment that we have. Hey, wait a minute, guys. I think I found an orangey that blew over. Maybe, Annie just went into the dirty creek scaring ducks. I think I found an orangey. This looks like a piece of paper. Frank hid orangey out here. I think this one blew away. I might have found this one already once. Nope, I found one. I found an orangey. Look at that. This is crazy, isn't it? This one blew over. I might have to put this one under a stick or something so it doesn't blow around. Someone came out here on my walk and put pictures of the cat all over my walk. And I gotta find them in the woods. Like, it's insane. There's orangey. Now look at Annie's like, what is that? No, you just took my stick that I'm covering up the cat with. Annie, what are you doing? Vicky just woke up. Vicky, what do you mean? What does that mean? Sorry. Do I choose a girlfriend by her looks or what's inside? Definitely what's inside. Michaela, especially. Definitely what's inside. That's how I chose my ex-wife. That's when I decided I wanted to marry her. Let's put it that way. How about that? How about that? All right, there's orangey. We only have 2 orangeys. Let's check and see what we got going on in the sunrise. Oh, relevant or irrelevant? So irrelevant, Vicky, means it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. So like the last pick in the NFL draft is kind of like, well, you're last. You're Mr. Irrelevant, or you're Mr. It doesn't really matter. You know? Mr. You don't matter. Just like me on the 8th grade basketball team. I was picked at the end. I barely made the team. I was on 3rd string for the first half of the season. I barely made the team. Didn't get to scrimmage a lot in practice because that was usually the first team versus the second team, and I never played in any games. And then I just started to be more confident in myself and not worry about what other people thought of me, or I was shorter, or I was skinnier. You know, I just kind of said, screw it. Hey, what's going on, Stoner Dan? Just looking toward the sunrise here over a beef cattle farm. Right next to a path with my dog, my Pitsky, Annie. Annie, say hello. You did have to go into that creek, didn't you, after the ducks? Man, now she needs a bath on the lower part of her body. You goofball, your legs are all black and dirty. Yeah, and then we got woods next to us, so it's a really pretty place. On one side of the path is woods and a creek. And on the other side of this path are the beef cattle. And they've been near us a lot recently. This is Columbus, Ohio. Columbus, Ohio. All right, guys. Well, I hope you have a good day. And I think the message for today is, remember, no one is irrelevant in God's eyes. So let's remember that when we see people and we have the tendency to initially judge them. Let's remember that today, okay? Yeah, it was short. You meant the live was short, Michaela? Yeah, we can wait to see what the sunrise looks like if you guys want to. because the sun hasn't come up yet, but I do see clouds on the horizon, so I'm not sure if we'll see it or not, but it'll probably be a beautiful sunrise because of the clouds. Have a great day, Vicky. And look at Annie. Look what Annie's doing. She just stood this long stick up. She grabbed one, then brought this other one and stood it up. Look at how black her legs are. Her legs are white like her head, but her feet are so black because she was in that muddy creek. Yeah, she is cute. Annie, look at the camera. Annie. She's looking at the cows. She's just staring at the cows. The cows drive her crazy. One time we were hey, Annie, you want to tell them? Annie, you want to tell them the one time we were down at the other side of this path and the cows and you were nose to nose? And the cows were not afraid of her. It was funny. The cows were walking right up to the fence and dipping their head down to the ground to where Annie was and just looking at her. And it kind of freaked out Annie because so Annie started running back and forth in front of the cows and barking. It was nuts. Yeah, it was nuts. All right, I'm going to wait a few more minutes and see if we can't see the sunrise here. Beautiful sky though. It is peaceful. Do you hear all the birds? There's birds and ducks. Yeah, my plans, I might go to a Bible study, I think. I'm not sure. I got to get Annie out one more time today. I'm going to also work on 3 signs for Frank, different versions of them. So we need to make some things for his car wash. So I'm making some signs for his car wash. In different areas, you know. I'm not sure what else I'm going to do. Oh, work on the vinyl. I'm going to work on categorizing those vinyls. Because I got to get those back to Frank. So I got to get them organized and categorized, like file them away, file the vinyl with the covers. If you've seen my night lives, that's what we've been doing for the last few weeks, is going through all the vinyls that Frank saved and salvaged from a flood. How about your plans, Michaela? What are your plans? These cows are so cool, just chilling out here. I think the sun has risen. It's just behind the clouds on the horizon. It's just a beautiful skyline. You can see where the sun is coming up just beyond those trees. You see that dark orange spot? You're doing some shopping and work. I might have to do some shopping too. There's some shopping I need to get done. Not only like some Walmart shopping, but some other kind of shopping. I gotta get some clothes, I think. I gotta work on that. Yeah, I gotta work on that. I think we have a plane taking off into the sunrise. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, there it is. I don't know if you can see the plane. All right, bye, Vicky. Hope you guys have a great day. And remember, let's not just judge people by their outward appearance today. Little message from God in the first book of Samuel, chapter 16. Have a great day, everyone. See you tonight. Peace.